and like, why am I not making beer? Right. All right, start making beer, jackass. Let's go. Come on. So,
Alright guys, welcome to the episode of Hoppy Craftsmen. Today we are at B.R.I. in, is this Mesa? We're in Mesa?
we're in Mesa.
Weird. I'm here with Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
Wow. And we are down one craftsman today. Nate is homesick. Well, he's got sick family members, so you know how that goes.
Nate's waist deep in a barrel of Vagisil right now.
Ugh. Yeah. Gross.
Damn it, Nate.
Yeah, so but today we actually have Matt from B.R.I. Matt, say hello.
Hey, Matt.
Sorry, I said your name. It's weird.
It's all good.
And then, I'm sorry, I'll say your name.
I'm Eddie, but on Instagram I'm Arrwoooo, which is a silly spelling, but
And so, yeah, Eddie is actually stepping in for Nate today, so thank you. You're just randomly here and we just like stole you out of the crowd.
I'm officially elevated to stalker.
We're like, we know that guy. Come here a minute. You got something you can do.
Plus, I think this is the official crafty Hopsman that we talked about.
Yeah, it is.
At Wilderness,
That's right. Sorry, Nate. You've been replaced already. All right, so we do kind of a segment called Rapid Fire. And so, Matt, we'll start with you.
Sure.
The beer that got you into craft beer.
The gateway beer was Fat Tire.
All right.
Silly as it is, man, it was delicious at the time, and I just thought they had crammed so much flavor into that beer, and I'd never experienced anything like it. And I was on that hook for probably a good solid 3 years.
Yeah. Nice.
I can really agree with that. I moved away from Arizona for a little while, east of the Mississippi, and then I found out at that point you couldn't get Fat Tire, and I was really, really upset. And then I finally moved back, so I was okay.
Well, I got into that when they first released their product into the state here in Arizona, and so it was really new, it was really fresh, it was different. The packaging was dope. Their brand names were dope. Everything about it was great. And my wife and I actually moved to Texas for a couple years. Before we moved to Texas, I checked to make sure that I could get New Belgium products before I went there. It was an absolute beer wasteland at the time. So,
that sounds like Texas. Now it's a little better, right?
It's a lot better.
Yeah. Ed, this is now to you, buddy.
Mine was Rogue's collaboration with Voodoo and their peanut butter banana combination that they did. I did not like it, but that creativity kind of sparked my interest.
Okay.
And
Nice.
just that community that they had, a donut shop and a brewery making beer together was just a weird combination.
Right. And the giant pink bottle, probably, that was a big thing. Like, ooh, pink. So, and I think, Jeff, we already talked about whatever your gateway beer was, I don't remember.
I don't think we have talked about my gateway beer on the show. I was in Japan when Samuel Adams started to get big. So my mom used to record like radio and TV for me over there because they're 6 months behind, and I kept hearing all these Sam Adams commercials, and I was like, oh, I gotta try this stuff. Beer with flavor, really weird.
Yeah.
And then I found some out in town, and it was like 100 yen, which at the time that was equivalent to 10 American dollars. So I drank like a 12-ounce bottle of Sam Adams for $10. And but it was like, hey, what is this flavor? Because not that I'm complaining, but I was over there and pretty much the only thing to drink was Kirin or Asahi on the economy, which wasn't bad.
That's tough.
Halfway decent Japanese lagers. But yeah, I mean that was the foray into craft for me.
Nice. Mine's Sierra Nevada. That's pretty much a standard. Like it's the pale ale was like my go-to no matter what. Any place you ever go that doesn't have like craft beer was like there was a Sierra Nevada there, and Boston Lager too, I guess. But
Yep. My buddy left a 6-pack of Sierra Nevada in my refrigerator once, and this was before I got into craft beer. I ran out of domestic, and so I cracked a bottle of it, and I called him immediately. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this beer, man? Like, what happened to this beer? It's horrible. And that's still, like, today, it's my go-to pale ale. Like, obviously, it's the standard, but it, like, freaked me out at first. I was like, something is wrong with this.
Right. It shouldn't taste this hoppy. It's crazy. This is a pale ale?
Your beer's bad, man.
Yeah, what happened to it?
Did you leave us in the sun? All right, so the next one is, I call it your moped beer. So it'd be, what beer would you be embarrassed to, like a guilty pleasure beer kind of thing?
Probably old style, man, at a baseball game. If I'm out at a Cubbies spring training game, I want to be drinking old style out in the sun. There's just something nostalgic about it, and
Right.
yeah. I don't like to talk about it though.
That's
It's super awkward right now.
You're like, ooh, this is recorded. You know that, right? You could have made something up. You're like, oh.
I would say probably Dos Equis. That's what I get at the hockey games. Just always finish off the game with one of those. Usually
Not the
it's a
Yodis. You don't get the Yodis.
bad- Yeah, I don't know what a Yodi is, but I've had the Yotes Pale Ale.
I've had that as well. Next one is your deathbed beer, and or beer food pairing. Like if you're on like, and it's always weird, like a death row situation, and you had to pick one beer to have, and then get a meal with it too. What would that be?
Man, my favorite go-to, the beer that I never pass up, I never say no to, and I always keep a couple deep is Consecration. I just love it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that beverage at all. So if I can have that and a nice medium filet, I'm out.
Carnivore. Love it.
Ooh, a deathbed beer. I'd probably have to go back to that Dankworth from Brent House.
Really?
That
Okay.
that beer has stood out to me for quite a while, above everything else
So
that they've done.
if Drew's listening to you right now, how much is he paying you?
Yeah. Well, Pie Thief maybe?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's one pie thief. Actually, Russian River, I mean, most of their beers you can't really go wrong with. In most of our country, I mean, supplication, and all those are like, yeah, sure, I guess I'll have that. They're pretty.
Those are the ones that I always look at. I look down in the cupboard and I go, nah, not today, and just skip right past it, just because I just don't want it to be gone.
Right.
I want to have it more than I want to drink it, to be honest with you, and I just want it there for that day that I really do want it.
Well, you're cellaring them, right?
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
for
on a podcast. People can't see my hands when I do shit. Air quotes.
We need that
Cellaring.
button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Air quotes.
Explosions.
So, and it's kind of funny that you said you would never decline that beer. And the next question is, what beer would you decline in any circumstance? Like if somebody was like at a barbecue and were like, "Here, man, have this," what would you decline? You're like, "No, I'll have water."
Anything that somebody else has already drank from. I got germ issues, man. I don't want to take a sip off your beer, and I don't care what it is. I don't want to take a sip off your beer.
That's probably the fucking best
That's
answer to
awesome.
that question.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
I'm going to say Corona in a can. There's just something weird about that flavor that comes off of it that I do not like whatsoever.
Yeah.
Drink it out of the bottle all day long, even though it's bottom of the barrel, but in a can, terrible.
Makes sense. The next one is, was it one thing that should never be in a beer? Or is there a thing? It doesn't have to be a thing. If you think that anything should be in a beer.
A straw.
Your dick.
Oh, damn.
I don't know about that.
It's a mock,
That goes back to the drinking the beer that someone else has had.
is it a mockini?
Definitely not gonna touch that one.
Yeah, right.
Ice.
All right. You want a beer slushy?
Yeah.
Thought we were onto something with that.
No.
You got to change your recipe now, Jeff.
Damn it.
Favorite place to have a beer? And this could be a brewery, a house, a location, a state, a country, wherever.
I know it's low-hanging fruit, man, but my favorite place to have a beer is right here. We built this place we built this for us.
Right.
We didn't build this for the consumer. We built it for us. We wanted to have a place that we would love to go and love to hang out, and that's what we did. And this is where I like to have a beer. I don't drink too much at home or out on the weekends, and I don't really bounce around town as much as I used to. So, like when I want to have a beer, this is exactly where I want to have it.
Awesome.
Camping.
Man, Ed, you were in a perfectly good opportunity. You literally have Matt here from the bar.
I could have
that we're-
sat here,
You're
I
like,
know.
me too.
Hey,
Same.
listen, we don't need any pandering.
But I wore the hat, so I'm that guy today.
I noticed.
So camping.
Camping. You don't need a DD. You can throw up wherever you want to. Bathrooms are everywhere. So.
All those Dos you're drinking.
Yeah. Super easy access for everything.
Nice.
Camping beers are solid.
Love camping. This is a good state to do. It's a great time of year to do it right now. Too.
Hell yeah.
So you can't. Well, you could say this because you homebrew too. But most and least favorite beer to brew.
So least favorite, anything with a high amount of wheat in the grist. Just getting that stuck sparge sucks. When you got to blow back through that mash, it fucking ruins your day and just trips everything up. Then your head gets fucked up and everything just goes down. Just your whole day can collapse on you. Favorite beers to brew or IPAs, brewing them IPAs, late hop additions, like just dumping a boatload of hops in at the end, like that's fun for me. That smell that you get from that hop drop, it's amazing. As far as like the entire brewing and fermenting process, I really like to watch Belgians do their thing because they they work fast, they work hot, they throw off a bunch of esters. It's nasty, aggressive fermentation, and so those are fun to watch. But like actually brewing, probably really chewy late edition IPA.
Very cool. And I guess you homebrew, so maybe you have this.
Being a simple home brewer, I would say anything that's drinkable is good to brew.
Solid.
So I'm at that stage, and anything that requires a delicate temperature control, I hate it.
All right.
Because it's just a small system. It's
Right.
hard to do with that. So
All right. Fair enough. I'll take that. We'll accept that answer. What's the next trend in beers, in craft beers right now? Or what do you think the next trend in craft beers is?
Clear IPAs. I hope. I hope. Next trend, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. The trends don't really start until a couple people make the steps, right? And so right now, clearly the trend is these hazy, juicy New Englands, and before that it was sours, and before that it was sessions. So what's next? Hopefully big monster imperial stouts or something. Something cool. But I honestly, I have no. It takes a trendsetter in the marketplace, and then it takes somebody to follow them, and then somebody else to follow them, and then that's where you get a trend.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, whatever it's going to be.
As long as beers clear up a little bit, I'll be stoked.
That's what you're. So are you on team Don't Haze Me, bro? I mean, you're drinking kind of one right now. We tried to get what we're drinking too, but.
Here's the thing. I've become tolerant, and I've become very tolerant in this day and age. But at first, I hated the idea. They smell amazing and they taste dope. I love everything about it. But when I look at it, I'm just like, God, could you please rest your beer for a week?
Right.
And, even if you're not going to filter it, just rest it for a while and let gravity and temperature do its thing. But it's what's out there now. It's what people want. And if you're in the business, you still got to be true to what you do, but you also got to follow what's going on in the market. And so we brew them, and I think we brew them well. And it's a neat little trend. I very much think it's a trend.
Well, yeah.
But we'll play that game as long as we need to.
Very cool. Yeah, it's one of those, and that's kind of I think the why people don't really like them for the most part is because you should just drink it in a can, so you can't see it and just enjoy it. That's kind of the mentality if you either love them a lot or you have a brewing history and you understand that should be a Hefeweizen, not necessarily an IPA. So it's really hard to see it.
And see, that was my mental block with it, is when I first looked at them, they look like Hefs, and I can't stand Hefs.
Okay.
That's probably one of my least favorite styles. Give me a Belgian blonde or golden all day long. They've got similar yeast phenolics, but there's just something about that muddy looking Hef that I've always hated. And so that's kind of what the perception was when I first started seeing these. But like I said, they're growing on me, and there's a lot of really, really great examples of them. So, it's hopefully they stick around a little bit. But I think that right now there's an abundance of them.
Well, I think people are just doing them just to do them now at this point. They're not even doing them. There's some people that do them really well, and other people just do them because that's the hot thing. So I think the ones that are actually good will stick around, but all the rest of them will kind of just fade because people will get sick of them. So.
Trend. I'm gonna say lagers.
Okay.
A lot of people are pushing towards that, and it's making a lot of people mad, which usually seems to be the trend creator.
Okay.
Like with the hazy IPAs, people, it's stupid. It's not supposed to be hazy. And then with the New England's not even a style. That pissed everybody off, and then it becomes a trend. So
I always thought it was Nebraska, but I guess I was wrong.
yeah, that is.
It's got a lot of corn in it.
Damn it, April Fools. Get me every time. So yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've heard lagers are kind of the. That's what I haven't heard. I've seen a lot of that. We actually seen a lot of places that actually start to do lagers. It's kind of a thing. So it'd be interesting. HPLs seem kind of popular right now.
I tell you, it'll be interesting to see if that becomes the trend and people start going down that road. It'll be interesting to see what people do here in Arizona, because historically we don't brew lagers here in Arizona just because of the energy costs on it. It's too hot here, and it just takes an amazing amount of resources to keep the beer that cold for that long. And it just not a lot of brewing companies do it.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to talk to some of the companies that have been staunch in that stance and say, no, we're not doing lagers. It'll be interesting to see how many lagers they start popping. Yeah.
I'll just take a second here real quick. This song is pretty amazing that we're listening to it at a bar right now. it's Real Big Fish
It-
beer.
It's part of the soundtrack.
Is it?
It's part of the soundtrack.
It's planned. Okay, thank you. Thank
well,
you.
not specifically planned for like this moment in time, but it's always on. It's part of the.
You know, I come in here with my wife all the time. We're sitting here. We came in here and we did a pre-flight and had lunch. And I'm sitting here and like, you know, mid '80s Vandals comes on, and I'm like looking around. I was like, I got to be the only person in here that even knows what this is.
It's you know, again, we didn't necessarily build this for the masses. We built it for ourselves, and then we just, you know, and in that we hope that you know, enough people really dug it to make it work, and so far so good
Right.
on that. But you know, we definitely, if anybody knows anything about B.R.I, they know that we do what we want, and we don't really make too many apologies for it.
Excellent. Good. That's one of the reasons why I want to talk to you.
So, I mean, on that, tell us a little bit about your influence, because again, you know, I'm a Southern California kid. I was into the Southern California punk scene, and I sit here and I look at a skateboard deck that has, you know, like the independent logo that's, you know, done up with Beer Research Institute. I see a B.R.I shirt that's got the DRI logo, and I go crazy for that kind of stuff. So what's the background behind that? Because I find that incredibly cool.
All right, so I don't know, man. I think that, like, you know, marketing and branding is pretty easy if you do it right. And so, you know, you take something that somebody already knows and you tweak it a little bit. And if you look back at the skateboard community, every skateboard company's been doing that for forever, since day one. So it's all, and what it is it's not stealing somebody else's idea. It's a nod to it. It's paying homage to it. Every skateboard I ever owned as a kid had independent trucks on it, hands down.
Yep.
You skate indies.
Absolutely.
And so that, and so I've always, that logo, that image has always been so iconic and just burned into my brain. And I was looking at it one day and I was like, yeah, we're doing this. You know, we took, you know, 480G, you know, our image for that is Eazy-E. You know, I grew up on that Compton gangster rap, you know, and then as I started getting a little older, you know, I started getting into punk. You know, in my teenage years, I was definitely into the, you know, the early thrash scene. So, you know, DRI comes into the fold, and DRI, BRI, I mean, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just low-hanging fruit is what it is. And it's these ideas that we can take that again, aren't built for the masses. They're built for a very narrow audience of people that, you know, that's going to get it. And it's fun, you know? So I grew up just outside of Detroit, and the only thing I ever wanted to do as a kid was get my ass to California. And so, like, grew up in that mental culture of that Southern California lifestyle, skateboarding, punk music, stuff like that. And so I think that it just, you know, it's 25 years of that reflecting on my soul, and it just kind of becomes part of what you do every day.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so I almost made it from Michigan to California. I had to stop in Arizona as well. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
What part of the Mint are you from?
Oh yeah, I gotta do the Michigan thing.
Yeah.
I am from this part right here.
Me too.
Northern Michigan.
Yeah,
Doing
what
hand
town?
signs again.
West Branch.
West Branch, Houghton Lake.
Oh, Jesus
Give me one.
Christ.
No lie.
Yeah, tip of town.
Yeah.
Woo! Nobody fucking knows that except for these two people.
You guys need a moment?
We might need to take a break. No, I
Me-
lived up there through high school, but other than that, I was as a kid I was down in Detroit, and then as soon as last day of high school, I got on the first train out and went back down to Detroit. So
Nice. Very cool.
Here's the
That's
rare
ranch.
thing about Arizona. There's 4 people at this table. I'm the only one who was born and raised, and probably 90% of this bar,
Transplants.
we all
Yeah,
transplants.
welcome to Arizona.
Fuck yeah.
if you're from Michigan, it's either here or Florida.
Right.
And,
Yeah, fuck
you know,
Florida.
Yeah, Florida
Someone-
smells like oranges and old people, so Arizona it is.
I don't want my face eat off by
There you
some random person on bath salts.
Bath salts.
Right.
Yeah, so the 2 more medals, good, bad, indifferent for a brewery.
You know, yeah. I mean, they're definitely beneficial, and from a marketing standpoint, I think that, you know, in the industry, I think that you know, your fellow brewers are gonna definitely nod their heads and give you kudos for it. I think in the, you know, what's more important to me than a medal is my sales report, and a medal I think can enhance your sales report. But what we want to do is we want to make beer that people like to drink and readily consume. So, you know, we brew beers, and anymore I don't even know who brews anything to style.
Right.
So, like, cramming your beer into a style category for a medal is actually more challenging than most people think it is.
Right.
But like our black IPA, Street Cred, it's not brewed to a black IPA or a Cascadian Dark Ale style box. So, you know, how do you even do something with that?
Yeah.
But we sell the shit out of it.
Yeah, right. love
it
it.
keeps the lights on, man. So
Yes.
it's great.
Very cool. Do you have anything of that?
I think they're good if they're recognized by at least the breweries. When you hear like Bob's Backyard every other Tuesday brewing competition, then it's like, where does this come from? I've never
Right.
seen it. But I mean, you see the GABF medals and you're like, wow, I want to go in there. Weird thing about Arizona is people here tend to hide them. They're hanging from the rafters or they're like hidden somewhere. Like, just post it on the door or post it behind the bar. Get them out there. It does work for marketing and advertising, and it's free.
Very nice. Yeah, that's true. And then the last one, and sorry, you can't answer this one, but what is the best advice you have for somebody for if they want to open a brewery?
Really, really, really think about it because it's not all fun and games. It definitely is not. We're certainly doing exactly what we want to be doing. We're living the dream. Nightmares are dreams too. So everybody needs to remember that because every day is not awesome. It's challenging. You know, you got to try to make people happy. You got to stay true to your brand, vision. And true to yourselves. You drink a lot more than you used to, and you got to balance that out in life and, being professional. And, it's easy to go, hey, I'm an award-winning home brewer and I'm going to go open a brewery. You definitely need to have some business experience behind you or a partner that does. You need to have twice as much money as you think you'll ever need. And you need to have twice as much time as you think it's going to take. And anybody that tells you anything differently than that is just straight fucking lying to you or throwing rainbows at you or whatever. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and you got to be ready for it mentally, for sure.
Excellent. And I think it's pretty much the consensus. We heard a lot of people like it's not just like I'm gonna make $1 million overnight. Yay! It's not gonna happen.
No, you're not.
Right.
No, you're going to spend $1 million overnight.
That's a fact. So, but here's the thing too, is that there's different zones, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't really think about too much. So you got the upper tier in this state, which is your Four Peaks and your Santan. So if you try to open up a brewery and you think you're going to compete with those two volume-wise, you're an idiot.
Right.
I mean, come on. And then there's smaller tier companies that are like, we're a brew pub with very, very, very limited self-distribution. And then there's the larger companies that are in the middle of the mix. Your Huss Brewing Company, your Grand Canyon. You got some of the larger, but not quite the largest. And there's a different scale for all that. You're going to do a brew pub. You're going to do just a tasting room and distribution. Are you getting a distributor? Are you self-distributed? Like, there's so many different layers to that. So I think that you can be really, really, really successful in a small footprint, small focus, and you can knock that out of the park. Or you can get a bunch of money and a bunch of time and a bunch of people, and you can try to go for that upper tier. That middle gray area between the top dogs and the little guys, I think that's kind of a weird zone that I personally wouldn't want to be in.
Yeah.
Just because of the work return effort. There's a lot of work there.
Right.
And I'm kind of lazy. I don't really want to work that hard.
You're efficient, is what we like to say.
That's a fact.
Yeah, there you go. That being said, we probably should talk about the beers we are drinking right now. Jeff, what are you drinking?
Well, I told Matt it was dealer's choice, and he poured me a beer called Prick. So I don't know if I should read into that, but this is IPA, right?
It is.
Prickly Pear IPA.
Yeah, it's we went out in the desert and picked some prickly pears and threw it into New England style IPA. It's a beautiful beer. We've gotten great response on it, and
It
I
looks
dig
really
it.
nice.
It's a lot of the times you get the, and I don't mind fruit beers. I don't mind any beer as long as it's beer first and whatever they're trying to make it be second. So the fruited beer doesn't bother me. It used to bother me a lot because a lot of the earlier fruited beers, it was juice first and then a beer, and it was just like this cloying sweet mess, and it was kind of like, it was almost like they were trying to appeal to the wine cooler crowd. But something like this where it's like it's very much IPA up front, it's hop forward, and then you get kind of like that prickly pear fruit on the back end.
A little kind of watermelon rind kind of thing that prickly pear does.
It's really good.
So it's super subtle in flavor on the prickly pear. It's obviously what it's for is the color pop on it. But fruit beers, a lot of them that are out there on the market, there's a lot of extracts out there that are being used. And I'm not a fan, I'm not a proponent of using extracts. I think if you're going to do a fruit beer, use real fruit. And if you can get the flavors out of it that you're going for, great, good job. If you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't, in my opinion, but and we don't. So if we can get a good fruit pop out of natural fruit, then we're going to do that. And we've actually got a long list of fruit beers that we've done. that have all turned out, definitely to our liking, and they sell pretty good. So we do a peach version of Lolly every year that we pick the peaches from Schnepp Farms. We do the Mango and Chain, which is probably one of our most popular, most rare beers that we do, and it sells out like crazy every time. So we like to play with it a little bit, but it's local fruit or fresh fruit and things like that, and we just let the yeast ferment the fruit sugars out and do their job, and what we get out of it's what we get, and if we don't get it, and then we're like, okay, well, this is what it is, and but we're not back sweetening with sugars and extracts.
It's really really good. Peach Lolly is a favorite of mine too. Really good stuff.
Yeah, that one was good. It was early released in the Father's Day pack.
Yeah, got the Father's Day
got
pack
that before anybody else, and that's probably top 5 beers from B.R.I, I would say.
That's kind of our gimmick on that one, is we pre-release that in the Father's Day 4-pack as just a little piece of exclusivity. You want to get your dad or your husband a really nice gift, and there's that little sliver of exclusivity in there. Nobody else has that beer when dad gets that 4-pack. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And craft beer nerds like us, if I can eat that shit up. I mean, that's really exclusivity. Wait, it's I can't get this beer. Only 2 people can get it. Yes, I'm in.
And then to further hammer that is that was the only time that beer went into a growler. So you can't bring that back and get it filled up again. Like, that is the only growler of that beer you're getting. And that's not really to hype it as much as it is that we make one batch of that, and it's a 5-barrel batch, and it's small and it's artisan, and we go and we spend our time out in the damn trees picking peaches
Right.
and prepping those and juicing them and all that. And we're not gonna. I'm selling that beer by the glass. That's how that beer was meant to be sold.
Very cool. Okay. And I also did the same thing as Jeff did. I said dealer's choice. And Matt, you poured me a 480 OG.
480 OG, that's my baby, man. That's my go-to.
It is nice. It's weird. Like, you talk about the hazy IPA trend. Every once in a while, it's really nice to have a beer that's like, hey, this is an old school IPA. I actually really dig this. I forgot how much I love these beers.
Yeah.
So it is cool that you guys have this beer on, and it is a clear beer. That's pretty awesome.
That's our number one seller. It's not filtered. That is all time, gravity, and temperature. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's number one in house. Simcoe and Amarillo, 8%. That's the beer that I want to drink when I want to drink a beer.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I love this beer.
Do you get mad when people say 480G?
Not anymore. I can't. I can't spend my energy on that. Yeah, can I get a 480?
Oh shit! Let me rewind that. I'll rewind this real quick, and I'll say 480, and we'll see what happens.
So it's typically what we do now is we just go a little more key, and we kind of make a subtle correction. We're like, oh yeah, 480 OG coming up, and so we try to implant that. But hey, whatever it is to the person sitting at the table drinking it, that's cool as long as they like it. I mean, at the end of the day, they can call it whatever they want. It's a delightful beer. They ordered a second one, so I know they like it, and they'll either get it or they won't, and it's cool. I know what it's called.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess I almost need a refill. We'll see some refills here. But before we get into that, you can't leave, Matt. We actually have a special gift for you. This is the first Hoppy Craftsmen award that we've given out.
Very first award.
Oh, this is full circle back to my opinion on awards 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, right? So we were hoping it was going to go really well.
This is when you need the exclusive.
So go ahead and read that, if you would, to everybody.
Best parking situation. And you know what? You're not wrong. I think that we have the best parking of any brewery in the state of Arizona.
Easily.
And I will scream that from the mountaintops. Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to be honest with you. It means a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you read the comment on below it, there is a clause in there, though. There's a little asterisk.
Okay, is hereby recognized for having the least worst parking for a craft brewery in Arizona, except when a new Harry Potter or Sparkly Vampire movie is playing. Also true.
Yeah, right.
Also true. Also true.
Definitely.
Solid.
So there was an interview.
It's like you guys know what the hell you're doing.
So
Like, you guys are observant. I like it.
So there definitely was a Facebook conversation a while ago that somebody said that they had okay parking, and then you chimed in and said you had the best parking.
I do.
Yeah, and then Ryan from Dark Sky said that except for during Vampire, and you're like, all right, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
And so it was
fair
really
enough.
funny. We're like, well, now they get the award.
There it is.
Done.
I like it.
Writes itself.
That will be framed by the end of this podcast up on the wall.
That was our intention.
Perfect.
Just throw that liquor license out of that frame.
that guy.
They'll give us another one. So the only bummer is I don't really get much juice from this because if they're already here, they know the parking situation.
Yeah,
But,
right.
Hey, We'll promote that.
It
we'll,
just
we'll get that out
confirms
on
it.
the social media.
Yeah, thank you.
But
Absolutely.
when they expand, it's not going to ruin the parking either. Because
Right.
you get that when
Oh.
all these smaller places
Are we
expand.
expanding?
Wait,
That's
was
coming
that-
up.
that-
Okay.
after the break.
All right, we are back from the break, and before we left, Ed, we were talking about expansion plans, and that's actually one of the questions I had written down is, anyone who goes in or out of here can kind of notice through the cracks that there's a lot of brewing equipment in the empty space next door, and I can't help but notice the enormous boarded up hole in your wall. So, plans for expansion.
Actually, AB InBev is opening a brewery right next to us.
And that's the podcast. Thanks for...
No, we knew. So we like to take things slow and steady, and we like to make sure we got our feet under us. And I think it's really the responsible way to go. Neither Greg or I really like the idea of heavy debt. So we're on this first run. We were pretty much self-funded. Definitely reinvested for the expansion, but we want to keep everything in our hands and not in with a bunch of investors or too heavy into a bank. So we wanted to pace it. We wanted to make sure we got our feet under us, and that we were making great beer, that we were making great food, and we had happy customers. And so 3 years in, I think we've accomplished those goals. So about a year ago, we started working on the expansion. We always knew from day one that we would want to move into the space next to us. And in fact, when we were negotiating our original lease, we were talking to them about first right of refusal on that space. And we always knew that'd be part of the plan because we knew we'd get there. So about a year ago, struck up a deal with the landlords, and earlier this summer, they finally got their portion of their work done, which took them a lot longer than it ever should have. And that was a whole ugly ordeal, but they really dragged their feet on it, but we finally got it. Now we've got our guys in there, and they're swinging hammers and pulling wires and doing the things that contractors do, and we're moving along pretty good. We're almost 50% of the way through with construction right now. So we've got all of our plumbing in, the walls are up, curbing for the brew area, it's all up, and things are going really, really well right now.
Is it going to be just like expanded brewing space, or is it going to be extra seating space?
It's a double dip for sure. The main impetus of the expansion is that we currently can't make enough beer. We've ran through several occasions where we had to bring in guest handles in just to make sure all of our tap lines were filled up, because we just weren't. And this is full fermenters all the time, always cranking, turning, and burning, and we were running out of our own beer. And then we've kept it really, really small. The footprint's been really small, but we do distribute a little bit of our beer to a couple, core accounts that have been supporters of ours since day one. And so we try to make sure that we got enough beer for them without slicing our own throat here. And it just became really, really tough to do that all the time. So we need to make more beer. That's what people of Mesa and the East Valley are telling us. So we're going to comply with their demands, and we're going to make more beer. In addition to that, we want to bring more people in here and enhance the experience for everybody. So we're adding more seats to the front as well. We'll be expanding our front patio, and we'll be expanding our back patio. So when we're all said and done, we're going to go from, right now we can ferment 25 barrels of beer at any given point in time. We've got 3 5-barrel fermenters and 10-barrel fermenter. When we're done with the expansion, we'll be able to ferment 105 barrels of beer. So we're more than tripling our capacity. And we're going to go from about 120 seats to about 200 seats in dining room and patios. So in addition to that, we'll have a barrel aging room that should be able to hold somewhere between 26 and 28 bourbon and wine barrels. And that furthers our capacity, a little more of a slow train on that, just waiting for those to do their thing. But that's future looks bright, man.
So with that, you had said, I've read a couple of the articles that you've done around, with different Valley magazines and publications, and you were saying that, your distribution point is right there at your taps. You want to sell beer one pint at a time. So with increasing that capacity, is there future plans for doing any of these like 16-ounce cans or crowlers or anything in the future?
So a couple things. I really do think that like craft beer should be, it's best consumed at the point of origin, no question about it. It was meant to be right here, and so we want to make sure we don't run out here because this is my number one account, right? This is the number one place where I sell my product. And then we want to be able to increase our footprint with some of our supporters that are out there in the valley. There's a bunch of great craft beer bars in this town, a bunch of restaurants that have great craft focus. There's some, believe it or not, there's a lot of little boutique hotels that are focusing on craft in their bars. You would never saw that 10 years ago. Right. So, there's the market's changing. We want to be able to make more people happy in more areas. So we want to distribute, no question. We'll do that by ourselves. In-house, you're definitely going to see within 2 weeks, you'll see us have crowlers available. We will be doing that a couple different ways. We're going to take our core beers, our 480G, Lolly, and Morning Sex. We're going to pre-fill those and always have those available for our customers. You can come in, grab those, and go. All the other brands that we have available on tap, you'll be able to custom fill those. And then moving forward, like that's what we're going to do now. And then as we get our brewery done, the expansion, we'll have the opportunity to do a canning run of tall boys or a limited release bottling run of 22s or 750s. Don't really want to play the 6-pack game. Don't want to play the distributor game. I have no desire to have our beers in a Circle K stacked at the end of a end cap display. But if we make them fresh here and we pace it to where we can keep it fresh, keep it sold, make a new one, keep it fresh, keep it sold, then we can really get our product out there throughout the state through this distribution hub.
So are you thinking about putting the 480G in
The 480G.
The 480G.
480G.
Can you put the 480G in a 40 ounce, kind of like, malt liquor style?
No, just name the beer Tall Boy. And put it
Tall
in
Boy?
that.
That's it, yeah.
Here's the thing. You're not wrong on that thought train. There's absolutely no way that we can exist in this world without eventually putting 480G in a 40.
Yes.
So do we have immediate plans for that? No. But goddamn it, man, that's gonna happen.
It has to happen.
It's gotta happen. That's gotta happen.
It's gonna be fucking
And
rad.
every one of them would be sold in a paper bag, and
Yes.
and we'll drink them out there on the sidewalk. It'll be fun. We'll have a party.
I'm coming to that party. Hopefully it's Father's Day. I'm not missing that this year.
Hell yeah.
We'll have Straight Outta Compton playing on the TVs, and we'll drink them out in the parking lot. It'll be fun.
This is gonna be. I'm excited already. It hasn't even got announced yet. Jesus.
480 Jesus.
Yeah, that's the variant. You're welcome. For some odd reason, we have the ability to name beers a lot on the show. For
every
some odd
show.
reason. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take that one and go home thinking that you came up with that. I'll let you do that.
No, you
I'll let
already
you do that today.
No, I'm okay. Hey, that's even better. If you thought of it, well, it was on the show first. I don't really care.
Oh,
Make a
now I
difference.
need to change all my passwords.
We are IT people. You're sorry. So maybe should we jump back a little bit? Matt, what do you say you do here at the brewery?
And this is the point of the interview where I step away.
You're right.
It's a lot, man. We're a really small team and a growing company, so we all do a lot of different things. We all wear a lot of hats, and my role, number one, is leadership and branding. I want to keep this whole team moving, keep our brand on focus. I control the marketing and what we do in terms of community outreach and getting the name and the brand out there. Quality control here at the pub, with working with my partner Greg and our brewer Colby on quality control and coming up with new ideas. Not that I don't run that, but I certainly play a part in that. Making sure that our operations are on point here at the pub and service is at a high level, and that the kitchen is matching that with quality food and beer's pouring correctly. But I mean, honestly, I'd love to say that it's leadership in marketing. That's what I want to do.
Right.
What I do is I pay a lot of bills and taxes and shit, and fill a lot of paperwork and pull my hair out, and that's But it's again, there's so many jobs to do that we all do multiple things.
Different hats, different days.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So how did you go from Michigan? You said you're trying to get to California. How did this place become a reality? Like, take us back when it first was an idea to where we are currently today.
So I'll try to keep this as unconvoluted as possible,
All right.
Because it's a journey for sure. But my entire career has been in the food service segment, right? A lot of franchise work, corporate work. My wife and I have owned several franchises in the companies that I work for at the corporate level as well. So just kind of double dip there. I've been in business for myself since I was 28, and a lot of that was state to state travel, especially in the early days. Like I was traveling a lot, and I remember coming home after a trip, and I sat my wife down and I said, Jenna, like when I'm all done with this nonsense, I just want to like pull the plug, walk away, and then I want to open a little mom and pop place here in town. I'll go into work every day and I'll make people happy. I'll come home and I'll sleep in our bed every night, and that's what I want to do. And so when that thought occurred, it was always scratch food and craft beer. It was always scratch food and craft beer. So then you fast forward a little bit, and I start homebrewing, and I just love everything about it. Clearly, I love craft beer. I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy. I like to be self-sufficient. I like to be prepared. I like to know how to do shit, right?
Right.
So I can cook an amazing meal for all my friends when they come over, and I can grow half of it in my own garden. And like, why am I not making beer? Right. All right, start making beer, jackass. Let's go. Come on. So started making beer and just really fell in love with it. And one night, Greg and his wife came over. And, we were drinking some beers and having fun, and walked out in the garage into the beer cooler to grab a beer. And he saw my home brewing equipment. He said, "Hey, well, what's going on over here?" And I said, "Oh, I've been brewing for a little bit." And he said, "Hey, next time you brew, give me some heads up, invite me over." So I did, and from that point on, every time we homebrewed together, and kind of partnered up on it and started knocking it out. Started making, honestly, just like everybody else, I think, started making really shitty beer. It was horrible. But
Yeah.
All right.
But here's the thing. I made it, and it had ethanol in it, and I was going to drink every damn drop of it, and I did. So, it wasn't until I had made several batches where I was like, oh, this isn't quite right, and I dump it, because I already had beer backed up. But those first couple batches, I drank every damn drop, and they were gnarly, man. Right. They were really gnarly. So anyways, we started making better beer, and then we started making great beer, and started entering into competitions, and we were starting to win medals on the homebrew level, and it was validating. It's not your neighbor or your buddy or your family telling you made a good beer. Right. It's an independent evaluator saying, hey, that per the style and what I've consumed before, that's an amazing representation. So that kind of just kind of flipped the switch for us and said, okay, well, now that we don't have our homies, our inner circle, telling us how great it is, because it's always nice to hear, but it means nothing.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
Fluff. Thanks.
When you walk over to your buddy's pool party, and you walk in with 4 kegs of beer, everybody loves you.
You're the best guy there.
Everybody, right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is the best beer I ever had. It's the best free beer you ever had.
You're right. Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. Blah blah blah. We start making better beer. I'm completely disenfranchised with my former company at this point in time. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do franchising. I had a partnership in that company I wasn't stoked on, and just didn't want to do it anymore. And said, you know what, I've done this long enough. It's time for me to kick that idea I had 15 years ago into gear. And talked to my wife about it, and she said absolutely. And she's absolutely my number one fan, my biggest supporter. Anything I've ever wanted to do business-wise, she's always right behind me on it. So Greg came over the next Sunday, and we started brewing. And I said, "Hey, man, this is what I'm doing. You want to jump in on that?" I'd kind of feel like a big dick if I, if I didn't bring you along. Like, we've been doing this together for so long. Like, do you want in on that? And he said, of course. Like, immediately he was in. And we started digging holes in our backyards, looking for coffee cans full of money, and shaking the tree. And basically, we literally dug up every dime we could find between the two of us, and we started B.R.I.
That's amazing. a great story. It's so cool, man.
And the influence comes from Greg and I. Between the two of us, we've been to over 300 breweries. So we've seen the production facilities, and we've seen the small, the mid-size with the tasting room. We've seen the brew pub. And we always gravitated to the brew pub. It was just a better feel, it was a better vibe. You get some food, you get a little food in your belly. You can have another beer or two before you got to bounce. It's just longer, better experience. So we knew we wanted to do a brew pub, and my background was always in food, so it just made sense. And we wanted to make a place where people would come and like have fun and unplug and bring their homies or bring their family. And I call it third place, which is it's not home and it's not work. It's that place in the middle where you're not at either of those places, and it's the brew pub's a really, really cool thing.
I agree. I totally agree with brew pub. That's
And the food's amazing.
Right. Well, we definitely need to get into the food here too. But that's what Jeff. Your wife is a big at this point. Like, she didn't drink beer for a long time, so you have to kind of please them too, the wives that don't like beer, and so you have to be like, do they have food? And a lot of times if they don't, they're not going to come along with you, and so it's going to be far in between. So
it's like there's still a lot of places around the valley I haven't been to because they don't have food, and it's hard for me to convince my wife to go to a place where she likes like the Lindemann stuff and some of the more fruity beers.
Sure.
So I'm getting her into like the sours. Like we went to 12 West when they're doing the Dead End, and I just have her try everything most of the time just to see the face she makes because it's funny. Right. But she drinks it, and I'm like, she's gonna hate this, and she drinks it. She's like, that's really good, and I'm like, wow, holy shit, I'm making her a beer person.
Yeah, and you're like taking her note. Okay, she liked this one.
Yeah,
check.
Yeah, exactly. But now, so it's still kind of becoming a reality that I may be able to start going to these places. But again, it's always if the place doesn't have food, I always feel like a dick because it's like, hey, honey, come watch me drink beer for like an hour while you hope that they have like soda in a can or something.
You can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, right? Yeah. So it does limit things, and so not only that, but then there's other places that just, and listen, this is my company, it's my brand. I want people drinking B.R.I. beer,
right.
But we usually have a guest handle of cider on because you know what? I want your wife to be able to have something when you come in with her, right? She doesn't like beer, so I want her to be able to have something else. We've got a limited, but a full cocktail well as well, and we certainly don't try to be all things to all people. I never want to do that, but there's decision makers in groups, and the wives are usually the decision makers.
Hell yes.
So if the wife says I don't want to go here, or even if you're in a group of 6 or 8 and somebody in that group goes, they don't have anything that I would like, let's go somewhere else, the whole party's going somewhere else. So I think that you got to balance it out a little bit, and we've tried to do that. We don't focus on our cocktails, we don't focus on our wine or our cider. We don't really even talk about it. We just, somebody wants it. Hey, I've got a Jack and Coke for you.
It's always good to have options,
for sure.
And again, you get more business that way instead of like, the one guy, like you said, in a group that's like, they don't have anything I want here, let's go. And then a group of 6 decide to fuck off and go some other place, then instead of spending money in your establishment.
I'll sacrifice that one person not drinking our beer for the other 5 that are.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I guess, I'm sure you probably told a story thousands of times, but this is a different podcast. Why the Beer Research Institute?
Well, it wasn't already taken. So that was
it was just it was a quick Google search.
No, you know what? No, so what happened is we were we had a list. We had a list that was 3 columns long of different potential brewery names, right? And then we had a sub list of different brand names for each individual beer that we were making at the time, and that had branches off of that. So we had a lot of options that we were going. And Greg and I took a trip to San Diego one weekend. We were over there, and on the car ride over, we just started going down the whole 3-column list of brand names, and really not what sounded great, but what we could do with it, right? So, okay, great, that's your name. Now, what do you do with it? Like, how do you fold the other brands into it? What's the attitude? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it talk like? What is this brand with that name? Right?
Yeah.
So we knew that there's kind of a joke to it, man. To be honest with you, every time I'd be out of town traveling on business, or Greg would be like home in California or seeing his folks up in Oregon, and we were traveling, we'd go to a new brewery, we'd get a pint of beer, we'd take a picture of it, we'd send it to each other, and be like, hey, conducting research, asshole, what are you doing? You know, and it was research, and like, quite frankly, like us going to all these different breweries like we did, we're harvesting information, man. You know, what do these guys do that's awesome? What do they do that's broken? What do I like about this place? What don't I like about that one? And so, like, B.R.I. really is this, you know, it's the snowball of different ideas and vibes that we've pulled from, you know, a bunch of, like, hundreds of breweries. So we used to do that back and forth, and then like our go-to spot, you know, back in the day before we got this open, it was always Santan. We'd go down to the Santan pub and we'd sit there and have a few beers and eat some food and enjoy ourselves. And one of our wives would be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" "We're conducting research. Leave us alone," you know. And it was just more of a joke than anything else. So I'm driving around one day and I called Greg and it just popped in my head and I said, "Hey, what do you think about the Beer Research Institute?" And he just started laughing. And I'm like, "So can I get an answer out of it?" And he's just laughing. I'm like, "That's it, right?"
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, that's it." And we didn't even talk about it again. Next morning, I got online, I filed all the paperwork, and boom, there it is.
Fun story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think, like you having a history, like you said, franchising and being in the marketing and that kind of stuff. I mean, that makes it really is important. Like, you have to have a story, you have to have some kind of thing that draws people in. And I think that, like, there's certain breweries that do it really well. And like you said, you have to, like, think just beyond the initial name. There's so many more things you can do with that. And as far as like the swag and the glassware and your taps are freaking cool looking. So.
Well, it's like now, I mean, especially with all the breweries that are opening up, you know, everywhere. I mean, your brand is everything, and that's a really cool brand. It's a really cool brand.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really call it, you know, a gimmick, but you have to have some kind of hook, something to hook people in, and so many people are like, I really fucking dig that shit. I mean,
yeah, you know, it's worked for us and against us too. A lot of people will walk past our place. They think it's a homebrew store, or they think it's a, you know, like literally like beer training.
I was going to say, one of my questions was how many people have
this?
walked in and said, like, you know,
hundreds,
thinking it's like
man.
Homebrew, or like you teaching people to homebrew, or
So
like an OSO or
where do I
something.
sign up for the classes? And it's like, well, you got to do your own work, and it's one pint at a time, and you know, and it's that kind of thing. But you know, more than anything,
We're less like teachers and more like a library.
I think it's clear. Yeah, pretty much. That's a solid analogy. I think it's pretty clear that, you know, like, we like to have a good time. We like to fuck around, right? And that's what it is. It's a goof. It's a poke. It's, you know, it sounds super serious and intense and official, and it really isn't, man. You know, we have done research. We do a fair amount of research on styles and you know, yeast metabolism and things that make our beer different than others. We do that. You know, do we have Cybele brewing degrees? No. You know, I mean, we're a couple of homebrewers that know how to do stuff and are proud of what we do, you know?
So is the space next to this space open? Because maybe you can actually open up like an art institute next door to that, and you actually teach people how to actually brew.
Well,
just embrace it. Just embrace the...
just go with it, yeah.
Yeah. I'll get you enrolled today. Don't worry.
We'll make everybody start wearing lab coats and, you know.
1,000 easy payments of $4.99. Not a big deal.
Absolutely.
No beer yoga here?
Well, maybe later. I'm not opposed to that. We just need more space.
Yeah, right.
So, the space next door to the space next door, right?
Yeah, let's keep going that way.
I think that what we've done, and it's been strategic, is that we have left our landlords with a space that is going to be very difficult for them to lease. It's a little too big for a small mom and pop, and it's a little too small for a national chain. And I think it's going to sit there until we're ready for it.
That's awesome.
And that's hopefully that's the way it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll be Area 51, where all the secret research goes on.
That'd be awesome.
It already is. That's where we held our safety meetings.
The Area 51 beer cellaring project.
I'm already in. Like, all those things sound really good to me. It's only exclusive, and I want in.
All that's in there right now is like a pile of fucking hats made out of aluminum foil.
Oh, we've got those.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows I got some tinfoil. But you know, I mean, like seriously, like, that could either expand our production, or we could take that space and like literally just fill it with barrels. You know what I
God,
mean?
yeah.
The Barrel Research Institute. I mean, what do you want to do? So what are you going to do about it?
Right,
you know?
yeah, right.
So I think that eventually you'll see us growing that way. I think eventually you'll see us open another, another brew pub somewhere else in town. We can do whatever we want.
Matt, you gotta stop giving us all this information. Like, there's like questions down the list. You keep giving answers, dude. I have like 0 questions now because you keep saying things that are.
But it's all going because now it's so natural.
Oh, it's not. Yeah.
I told you before we started I could freestyle.
Yes,
for a while,
100% true.
They just need to hold out and then kick the movie theater out. Imagine that.
Right? What is this? Is it Harkins over here?
AMC.
Nah, fuck them.
They're gonna stick around for a bit. They just invested a bunch of money into that theater over the last couple of years. They're sticking around for a
They
bit.
serve booze there now, like all the rest of them do.
They do, yeah. And I don't think they're doing well with it, but I mean, it's a great idea,
Right.
amazing idea, and I think every theater should do it.
They should.
But what we see is that people come here, they preload,
Mm-hmm.
they go watch a movie, and then they come back here, and it works out great.
That seems like that's something I would do.
Sometimes
Totally.
people sneak growlers into the movies. I don't know. We don't endorse that.
What kind of
Yeah.
people do that?
What kind of horrible person would do that?
Not our listeners. I'll tell you that right now.
I assure you, it's no one that I know.
The crawler cans are gonna make it even easier. God, I hope nobody does that.
So let's actually get into your food a little bit. Is there a kitchen in here somewhere? Because that is really impressive.
We keep them back there in their hole.
Because I would never have guessed. Not in a million years you actually had a kitchen in this place.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. We have it's in the back, and we were really fortunate in how we approached this space, in that it was a second generation space already. We got a third generation, which means that there were 2 people in front of us that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars improving this space. Bathrooms, air conditioning, power, the kitchen, all that. We didn't have to spend any money on that. So it kept our investment really, really, really manageable. The kitchen was part of the deal. We were looking for a space that we could just brand and build out to our needs, but had the infrastructure that we were looking for. And the kitchen was a huge part of that. So kitchen's back there. It's tiny. The amount of product and the quality of product that we pop out of that tiny little kitchen, it amazes me sometimes. But you know what? We've got a really tight menu. I don't know if you noticed, we got like 28 items. It's not Cheesecake Factory when you're going, like you're going through a goddamn Yellow Pages book trying to find, what you're trying to eat. But it's it's 28 items. It's easy to keep that small, and we're focused on quality, not quantity. Just want to bang out good food.
I'm trying to pull it up here on Instagram, but you guys post photos of like weekly specials.
Oh, the
Yeah,
specials are
Facebook. You
amazing.
guys do your specials. I'm
Yeah,
always
usually
oh my god.
we use Facebook more than Instagram.
Okay.
And
Is it Facebook I see them on? Okay.
Yeah. But you'll see them on the Insta every once in a while.
Every time I see them, I'm always like,
It was like today. I saw the breakfast burrito, and I get here, and Ed's here, and he's like, "Get the breakfast burrito. It's fucking amazing."
We were actually we were next to sit down at a local place, a local chain, and my wife saw the picture on Facebook. She's like, "Take me to B.R.I."
I saw you check in this morning, and I was like, boom. All right. So it's it's cool. Like, so we've got our static 28 item menu that we think is solid as the day is long, and then I want my people to have some creativity. I want them to have fun. Imagine if you hire a brewer and you're like, you're gonna make these 4 beers and that's all you're ever gonna make. And if you make anything other than these 4 beers, I'm gonna fire you and find somebody that's gonna make these 4 beers. It ain't gonna work, right?
Nah, that's
So my kitchen's gotta have that same kind of flexibility. I want them to be creative. They know more about the kitchen aspect of this business than I do. So who the hell am I to tell them rein that in? I want them to be creative. I want them to have fun. I want them to source a local ingredient or a hard-to-find ingredient and do something special every once in a while. We did these lobster rolls a couple weeks ago, and I was like, hey, guys, I want to do a lobster roll. And they were like, Matt, it's too expensive. And I was like, we don't need to make money on it. I just want to do it. And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, let's make a lobster roll, guys. Come on, let's have some fun. Let's be proud of it. And you get to eat one too, we're going to be eating like kings tomorrow. Let's go. And you know what? We didn't make a goddamn dime on it, but we sold them all.
Yeah.
And it was fun, and like every once in a while, you just got to do something a little different and keep it moving.
That's it. I mean, the minute you start stifling creativity, then you're gonna reap that in like turnover. People are not gonna be happy. They're gonna be like, man, I'm tired of making the same 4 fucking things day in, day out. I'm out. I'm gonna go do something else.
right.
Plus,
And then you got to deal with that and training and
I want people that want to think. I want people that are creative. I want people that are passionate. and that are the best at what they do. Like, you know, I want you to wake up in the morning and piss excellence, come in here and kick ass. And if you can't do that, don't fucking work here. Plain and simple. That is my one and only hiring requirement.
It's a great philosophy.
Plus, how do you tell people that I'm going to make a pink beer with prickly pear in it, but you need to make the French fries the way I tell you to? Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Real tough.
I can be creative, but you can't.
I will tell you that the French fries have to be made perfectly to my specifications. There is no wiggle room on that. But you know, okay, for instance, for a daily special, they wanted to do carne fries one day, and they wanted to do like slim shoestring potatoes. That's not usually what we do. But FYI, like, there's never been a French fry that's been on a plate in this restaurant that's ever come out of the freezer. We use a potato, we cut it, we fry it. Like, we actually make a French fry. There's not a lot of people out there that do that anymore. So they wanted to change the cut on it and the fry time and make them crispy and, you know, and thin. And I'm like, God damn it, go for it. But when somebody orders a burger and they get a side of fries, make sure it's the right goddamn fry. You know, so you got to have consistency in what they do. Colby, our brewer, he's got to make 480G the same way every single time. But then he also gets to make prick, and you know, and then he gets to come up with, you know, nubilis and you know, some. We got a Belgian triple and a Belgian double that are bubbling away right now, going crazy. And have fun, man.
Right?
Have fun, because if you're not having fun, it ain't fun.
Yeah, why do
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Why do it if you're not having fun, right? Yeah, I'd say that scrolling through your Facebook, I just fucking makes me angry. I miss out most of this food. It's ridiculous. Some of this food I see and I'm like, I got a wife and a kid. I can never.
Rewinding back to the whole, you know, bringing everybody in here. You know, my wife doesn't drink beer, and I didn't expect her to drink beer, but she's like, "Hey, let's go to B.R.I. an hour early because I'm gonna eat some fucking food."
Steak and eggs and football. All right, well, cool. I'm in. Why would you not?
Posts for men.
Yeah, right.
That's our default. It's like, do you want a beer? Sure. Are you hungry? Yeah. Where can we go? That's both. And it's like, B.R.I. is usually the one that's on the top of the list. Because
Right.
there's other places where you might be closer to, but you can't get both. And you can't get both a good consistency. Good food or good beer, or maybe
Right, one of the-
I think you just hit a really important point for me in that, you know, just circling back, I said earlier, you know, when Greg and I were going to all these breweries and brew pubs, the ones that we always gravitated back to were the brew pub, right? And we always felt that we would see a company and a brand that had all of their energy into their beer, and they make great beer. And then they had food, and food missed the mark. So coming from the food industry, I'm a little critical, right? So I want scratch food. I don't want anything that was out of the freezer, unless it's ice cream. Ice cream's dope out of the freezer. I don't know if you've ever had it. It's the best.
Wait, what?
No, it's the best. Like,
I'm
for
in.
real. But like, you know, like, I don't throw some frozen shit into a fryer, put it on a plate and tell me it's food. Just don't do that to me. And you can tell immediately. So we'd see that, like, there was all this focus on the beer, and you could tell they were really, really proud of that. And then the food was always a second thought. It was like bastardized a little bit, right? So, and then you go into a brew pub and you could tell, okay, well, one of the partners is a brewer and one of the partners is a kitchen guy, and you can tell that somebody's got their focus on food here. And I was like, we have to make, it doesn't matter what we make, we can have 100 items or we can have 10 items on our menu, but we have to have the quality in our food that we have in our beer. They've got to be playing the same game. And I think that for the most part, I think we hit that.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
And then you got those places that are after the fact and they have no room. It's all beer, and they try and throw in a panini press and a hot plate. We're making sandwiches.
We've got a kitchen now. We're Mesa's newest brew pub. I've seen it.
Just use a camping stove and
Got some kettle corn.
cast iron
You'll love
grill.
this. So Matt, what has been the most rewarding thing about owning the brewery so far?
Oh man, just watching people get stoked. We make something that we're immensely proud of, and then to see people, like, you know, I have regular customers that their beer of choice is 480G, right? Okay, 480G didn't exist in the marketplace 3 years ago. We made that happen. We made that beer for that dude. I mean, we made it for us, but like, that guy loves it now, right? And he's in here 3 times a week, and he has a couple of them. Gets a growler to go. we did that.
Right.
Like that's pretty goddamn cool, man.
Yeah.
And so, when you go through an Untapped and, you see people like just really geek out on something new.
Right.
Just like people enjoying what we do. Again, going back to the mentality that we didn't make this place for you. We made it for us, and we were just hoping that you dug it too.
Right.
Now, when that works, that's what's rewarding. We've met some great people. The industry is amazing. You guys already know that.
Yeah.
The kids that work for us, they're on fire. They love being here. They love being part of it. And it's a family thing, man. Like we got a little B.R.I. family here, and it's, and our customers are part of that too. The regulars that come in all the time that, if we run out of lolly and that lolly customer comes in and they're like pissed because they've got to make a decision where, walking in, they didn't think they even had to make a decision. Now they have to. It's just, it's cool.
That's my wife. She loves a lolly, and then when it's not on tap, she wants to cry. She's like, I don't know what to do. Why don't they have the lolly? And
we don't have it because it's good and people
Yeah,
buy it and
you're
it's
right.
gone.
I guess that's a good problem to have, right?
That's number 2. That's our number 2 selling beer. It's an 8.2% Belgian blonde. That's our
Damn.
second best seller. It's like, that's amazing. It's not a 5.5% pale ale.
Right.
That's our second flagship beer. It's an 8.2% Belgian blonde. That's our number 2 selling beer. That blows my mind daily.
That's weird, yeah. I mean, that's not a beer, especially in this big IPA world of craft beer. That's not a beer that you think would be up there that high. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome, though. I mean, it just means that people
just want to get drunk.
That was that too. I mean, it could be that. Yeah. People
It's a good gateway beer too, because other than like the banana, clove, and bubblegum phenolics, it's a really, really light drinking beer. It's not heavy and crazy in any way, shape, or form. So it's a good entry level beer for people that don't really understand craft.
But there's so much out there now that wasn't there even 5 years ago that people are able to taste all, like what you're saying with your wife. She's tasting all these different variations that weren't available. So you're going to find something, and honestly, you're going to build your palate.
Right.
You're not going to like a double IPA when you first try it, but after you try a few, then you're going to kind of be tolerant to it.
Well, it's like, I've seen a lot of people. I've put a lot of people through the paces of getting into craft off of the Buds and the Bud Light. And so while I know, obviously IPA isn't a gateway beer, but IPA is one of those things, I mean, myself included, it's like you drink it first and it's like, God, who the fuck would drink that? That's like a bitter, nasty mess.
It's a palate assault.
Yeah. Then one day it's just like, wait, this is different. And you go through the realization and it's like, no, nothing's different. Your palate's just matured. And it's like, I have adult children, and both, my son did the same thing. It's like, just try, I'm going to have you try one of these every time I get it, and you're going to fucking hate it. But one day you're going to be like, that's amazing. So you have a kid who, focused on like the fruity beers and the hefts, and now he will only drink like really sour sours and really heavy IPAs, and he won't touch anything else. And now my daughter's to the point where she doesn't make the face, and she's not like asking for IPAs, but she's like, I don't hate that. Mm-hmm. This is different. Why is this one so different? It's like, it's not different. You're growing.
Right. I'm working on my wife. My wife she loves the way IPAs smell. If only they tasted that way is what her response always is to me. She's like, I love this way it smells. It smells so good. It just doesn't taste that good to me.
Why doesn't it taste like a blunt?
Yeah,
It smells like a blunt. Why doesn't it taste like a blunt?
I know, right?
Well, that goes back to your point about the point of origin. Like, you see all this amazing beer in like these like liquor stores and one-stop shops, but it's like, how long has that been sitting on a shelf? And in Arizona, when it's 90 degrees, and some of these places are hot inside, and it's like,
Ooh, I saw somewhere somebody said that was it a beer in a can or anything that's been in the light for a day in Arizona is like 30 days anywhere else.
So, there's a lot of chatter about that. And there's a lot of chatter about freshness, and there's a lot of chatter about, it wasn't good. It was 4 days old. Okay. And, is it valid? Sure, it's valid. It's a different beer.
Right.
Every single day it exists, right? So what I like to focus on is, all right, I got beer in front of me. Do I enjoy it, right? So I had a buddy of mine over a couple weeks ago, and I had a 22 ounce of Toppling Goliath King Sue. It was over a year old.
Yeah.
And we popped it and we drank it, and both of us agreed it was absolutely fucking delightful.
Right.
It was delightful. Now, was that the same beer that went into that bottle when they put the cap on? Absolutely not. But I didn't have one of those to compare it against, so I just poured it into a glass with no expectations whatsoever, and I drank it and really enjoyed it. And so I think that like if more people would like get into that headset, like just get into that headset to hey, take that sip, and if you don't like it, then dump it.
Right.
But like, okay, yeah, the beer's 4 days old. Like, fucking knock it off. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's going to be a different beer. I mean, age is going to change anything. And like, you know, I drink Monster and energy drinks, and there's like a spectrum of flavor on those things. It's like, you know, you can tell it's like this one's like fresh off the truck, and this one not so much. But I've never poured one out, been like, oh, this is just too old. And you know, I've had beers from Wilderness that, you know, the kind of shit that people are like throwing away by the point it gets this old, and it's still good beer.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand that whole drain pour thing.
And FYI, like, to each their own, for sure. You know, not judging anybody on that whatsoever. I'm just saying, like, the way I like to consume beers, I like to drink the beer that's in the glass in front of me.
Absolutely.
And if it's refreshing and it's palatable, I want to enjoy it.
Right.
And you know, not. It's fucking beer, man. It's beer. So
Some people take that shit way too seriously. They fucking make great shows about it and fucking social media. And
There's a
fucking make
group-
shirts.
well, I
There's
mean,
a group
listen,
trying to take beer into that wine direction.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a 2015 B.R.I.
You know,
Wally. It's
listen-
been aged in oak and stored. at 60
Chardonnay barrels.
Oh, sorry.
But you know, whatever, no big deal.
And you blew it.
No, I just think that you know, I mean, be hypercritical of whatever you want to be in life, and you know, definitely, I think that there's definitely something valid in that a beer that just went on tap and it's 1 day old is different than one that's 4 days old. There's no question. But for a consumer to have the expectation that somehow or another a 4-day-old beer is no longer consumable because I just so happen to have it on day one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment there, and that's cool, I guess. I don't want to do it, but it's all good.
I think that's the point where you've taken a hobby or, you know, something to be enthusiastic about, and you've turned it into a chore.
Yeah.
And so kind of like, you know, shame on you. But again, you know, we're living in the generation where it's cool to slam on everything on Facebook, and you know,
sure.
everyone think it's like it's bad reviews are like cool. And it's just tedious.
I just want to enjoy beer.
Yeah.
Like that's like, to me, like, genuinely, beer is enjoyable, and it should be, and it's very utilitarian, right? I mean, it is the beverage of the people, and so. Like I said earlier, if I'm at a Cubs spring training game and I go with one of my buddies his family's originally from Chicago, we go to one game every year, and you know what? I'm drinking Old Style out on that lawn, and I ain't bitching about it. I intentionally purchased that beer to
Right.
drink.
I mean,
And
that old style wasn't like 4 days old, and you were like, "This is the freshest old style ever."
probably like 4 years old, man. I don't even know. But the thing is that, like, in that moment, in that time,
Right.
in that environment, that's the beer I want. So, you know, I think that, you know, just drink beer and enjoy it.
On
my
that note,
message.
I look around and I see some empty glasses, so we've taken another break and we'll come back for a few more minutes and then wrap it up.
Sounds good.
All right. This is why I want to put stickers, because I figured you would fucking take that.
That's fucking solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I figured the,
I drink OE because that's my jam. I get in a bottle 40 quart or can.
That one's on my fridge.
yeah, you're right. Like I said, I love this sticker. It's the fucking funniest shit ever. And every brewery show, too, is always like, that's fucking awesome.
And so, like, okay, so you get it, man. Like, that's what we do. You
Right.
take something that people know and you tweak it and you utilize it for your own needs, right? Your own selfish, destructive needs.
Right.
And you run with it. And people have asked me 100 times, like, so, like, what about, how'd you guys get permission to use Eazy-E? I didn't.
Right.
What are you gonna do when they come talking to you? I'm gonna print that cease and desist letter up. I'm gonna blow it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna frame it. And I'm gonna put it on the fucking wall. Then I'm gonna take pictures of it and I send it to every dude I grew up with and be like, look what I just fucking got.
Dude.
You know?
And then it'll be Dr. Dre.
Right. Right, exactly. So it's like, you know, I mean,
MC Ren probably all right with it.
Yeah, you might.
You probably
yeah. Hey, buddy, you get free beer.
Yeah.
B.R.I. Come on, come through.
done.
Come through.
I'd be in on that one.
So it's I don't know, man. Like you know, people like our designer, who I won't mention. Our designer's like, hey, make sure on this design, whatever it is at the time, make sure like you know I don't want any association with that. And I was like, listen, you didn't do this, I did this.
Right.
You know, who are you? How'd you get this number? Quit calling me.
Yeah.
You know,
Solicitor. Jeez.
but it's like people are really worried about that kind of shit, and like step number one on any of that is a cease and desist. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, you caught me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that. My bad.
Yeah. People get a little upset about that shit for sure.
Well, you look at like high schools and junior highs, and it's like they're all ripping off like the Falcons logo or the There's a junior high down the street here that has the Carolina Panthers logo. You're not allowed to use that.
Right.
So,
But
well,
nobody
you know,
cares.
here's the thing. Like, I think it's all about intention, right? So, like, you know, you go down to Mexico and you see a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. You know that shit ain't real. It's a bootleg, right? I'm not trying to say that's an independent skateboard. It's clearly not. So it's like, you know, again, it's a nod. It's a hey, I love that brand. It means something to me, and it's paying homage, right?
Yeah, it's part of who you are.
Yeah, like there's no way that anybody would ever come in here and think for a second that Eazy-E's okay with him being on the shirt, or that we have permission, or that he's a partner, and like nobody would ever think that.
Right,
So,
yeah. You'd hope that frivolous lawsuits for some reason feel like that people would. You're like,
yeah, whatever.
yeah, I don't
We'll
know.
continue to
Okay.
do what we want to do, and until somebody tells us otherwise, then you know.
So I guess since we're back,
And we're back.
I mean, we might as well just keep going.
Wait, were we recording?
I mean, possibly. So what events do you have coming up, Matt? In the brewery itself? I mean, you guys do your food, weekly specials. You guys do Randalls at all for your beers?
Yeah, we've actually been on a good little Randall kick lately. Been doing like Friday Randalls, and honestly, like Thursday, we just look at our lineup and we go, what do we have? And then myself, my GM, and one of our bartenders will sit down and say, okay, let's get these ingredients, and then we just put it together for the next day. So it's not very well planned out in advance. We just do it, and then we announce it through social media. We don't have a Randall calendar or anything like that. We're very informal around
Yeah,
here.
that's all right.
So events coming up, man. We got a few tap takeovers coming up. A couple outside events. Big ones that are coming up for us is on the 26th. We're doing a Halloween candy themed dessert and beer pairing.
Okay.
So you're gonna see like Twix, a Twix style mousse paired with Sugar Tits, which is our the base for morning sex.
That's amazing.
It's
Great
not,
names.
It's not too bad. We like to have fun. And then we did. We're doing a new light and fruity IPA. It's light and fruity IPA coming out here in the next week and a half, and then that'll be paired with like a key lime pie mango mousse. And so we're doing 4 desserts, 4 beers, $28, and you get to sample all this great stuff. Really solid. Anytime we do beer in desserts, we crush it. So we'll be doing that soon. Behind that, on the 10th and 11th, we have our 3-year anniversary, which is sort of a big deal.
Yeah, right. A little
Kind
bit.
of, it's like we made it, you know.
He's right.
We didn't go anywhere in 3 years. So, so on the 10th, we're actually going to do our first can release. It'll be a crowler release, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to pre-fill a boatload of crowlers of our anniversary ale, which this year will be an Imperial New England style IPA. No big deal.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
So we're gonna can that. We're gonna can those up, and we're gonna do a pre-release on Friday the 10th, and then on the 11th, we're gonna do our big blowout, which would be extension of premises, extended parking lot action with cornhole tournament like we do every year. We'll have some live music going on, food specials all day. The anniversary ale will be officially tapped that day, so you can actually get it in the glass. We'll have a specialized, anniversary ale glass. So you can, first X amount of people will get glass and the beer for X amount of dollars. If you miss that, then, go fuck yourself. Be on time. Be on time next year. Get the glass and the beer. Otherwise, just drink the beer and enjoy it. Just some good fun.
Very cool.
So those are kind of the big things. In December, every year we do an amazing event called we call it Milk and Cookies, and it's 4 different milk stouts paired with 4 different scratch-made cookies. That is probably the biggest pairing event we do for the year. Sells out within 2 or 3 days, and if you've never been to that, when you see that get posted on Facebook, buy a ticket because it will go fast and you don't want to miss it. It's dope.
Yeah, last year by the time I saw it and told my wife, it had already sold out. There was like 1 ticket left.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, babe.
Yeah.
We usually do, usually what I do for tasting events and pairings is I sell these 3 high tops. So I sell 30 tickets. If there's like a huge demand, I'll go ahead and I'll open a couple booths and sell those tickets as well. But I always want to be able to do an event and have, the general, average regular consumer be able to come in and grab a seat as well. So I want to sell the whole place out.
Right. You don't want to turn people away.
I could easily sell Milk and Cookies out for 2 settings, the entire restaurant that day that we do it, like without question.
Any special Dark Side Till I Die variations for that day?
Well, for our anniversary,
Oh shit! 'Cause I love that beer. I'm just gonna say it right now.
we are talking about doing a nitro version again.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you got the one that we did a couple weeks ago. It was on cocoa nibs and vanilla beans and nitro, and it was absurd. So on the day of our anniversary, we have a keg of that reserved.
Okay.
So that'll go on, and then when that one blows, it'll probably blow relatively quick. We'll have another nitro line on that day. But Dark Side Till I Die is one of those things that we can do a nitro version of it. We've done a cask version of it. There'll probably be a cask version of it coming up pretty soon. That should be, during the holiday season. That should be pretty dope.
Awesome.
With
Love
chocolate and cherries and something. I don't know.
God.
I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
whatever.
We're gonna throw in there. It's a good deal. We'll drink it.
Chocolate and cherries.
I was gonna say.
He's getting emotional over that chocolate cherry.
Yeah, chocolate cherry. Actually,
Chocolate and cherries. Look at this. Got them all worked up.
It's amazing.
I
What are we
feel
drinking
you.
right now, by the way? That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well,
Speaking of beer,
you guys are drinking Mango Unchained, and just kind of back to what we were saying earlier. This is not a
J
four.
is silent.
Yeah, I got scolded on that the last time we came in. Speaking of the 480 versus 480, I got scolded on the J silent.
I don't know if anybody scolded.
Django.
I've been here enough where they can scold me.
Okay, they can poke you a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, once we get to know you, we do
Yeah.
like to, we like to poke a little bit.
They're like, you
Yeah.
should know better.
So
shame on you.
Yeah.
you guys are drinking Mango Unchained, and it is not 4 days old. I think that's really important to point out. But it's that is our mango double IPA. Comes in about 9.6%. It has a boatload of mango in it, and it's super smooth for 9.6 beer. It's Nelson Sauvin hops all the way through,
Okay.
from bittering to mid to finishing. Nelson Sauvin hops all the way through.
It's 9.6.
Yeah,
I would never.
scary, right?
I never would have guessed that.
So maybe that's a problem, but to me, it's the feather in our cap. We make very deceivingly big beers, and if you look at our tap lineup any day of the week, you're gonna see that the majority. If you average all of our ABVs out, you're usually sitting at 7.5 or higher, and that's just that's our wheelhouse. It's where we live. It's where we play. It's what we like to do. Again, we brew the beer that we like to drink, and we hope everybody else likes it too.
Right.
So we want to. I don't want to drink 30 of anything. I'd rather have 3 or 4 of something that's really nice that warms you up, right? So we like to make big beers, and this is one of them. It's a very specialized beer for us in that the resources that go into it are extremely expensive, and then also the timeline on it. It takes us 3 weeks to make this beer. So that's 3 weeks of this beer sitting in a tank where we're not putting beer in that tank. And so it's a time suck. And as a result, we make it very infrequently because it blows our schedule out of the water. And then also we pour it in an 8-ounce glass. It is what it is. If you want 2 of them, please order 2 of them.
But it's also like you're not brewing for that ABV. This is what it just happened to be. And with, like you said, you're making big beers. It's just going to naturally be on that higher end. It's not like you're setting out to do.
No, that 9.6 was intentional.
Oh, was it on this one?
No, like I said, we like to make big beers. So, but I think maybe what you're getting at is it doesn't have the feel of a 9.6.
Yeah.
So that's just and man, I'd love to tell you what that is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's our pact with the Dark Lord. I don't know. But we have. Through our process or our style or our system, we have the ability to make these really, really high ABV beers that don't just rock you with ethanol.
Right.
And so they go down really, really smooth, and we're just blessed, man. We're just really, really fortunate that our process creates that.
Yeah, this is, I would say, yeah, definitely the booze is well hidden in this beer. I don't get a whole lot of mango actually tasting it, but in the aftertaste, there's a lot of mango comes through, which is really nice too. Because I'm like with Jeff, I think when fruit is the primary thing in the beer, and then the beer comes second, I'm not a big fan of that. But when like you either actually have a hop or some kind of what you do to the beer brings that fruit out a little bit. I like that a lot.
You know what's nice about what I like about this beer is that the Nelson Sauvin has huge mango notes. And so then it just comes together. So it's a really expensive beer for us to make because we can't get Nelson. We're too small. We are not on anybody's radar when it comes to Nelson.
Knocking on doors.
We got a scratch and claw wall, and when we get it, we're extremely fortunate, and we get as much of it as we can. And then it dries up, and then we're searching again. And so every once in a while we get this little blessing of Nelson, and we grab it every chance we get. So if anybody's out there in the brewing community that has extra Nelson, we'd like to buy your Nelson from me. Thank you.
Well, that's the thing. Like we started here with the Lolly because it seemed like a light beer that was low, and then you look at it and it's what 8% around
8.2, yeah.
And it's like, and that's my wife's favorite beer, and she's like, I can only have 2 of these. I don't know why. And
We call it getting lollied because if you have 3 of them, you're lollied, and your legs don't work right, and you bump into stuff.
But it feels so light and just
Yeah.
It's very hidden. Same thing with Dark Side. Dark Side, very, very much hidden. Even when you get in Top Secret Battle Monkey, when you get into our flagship double IPA, it's very, very sneaky. It's very, very sneaky.
No, I enjoy that though. I mean, I think, like you said, I like to drink beers. I like to drink beer. I mean, and it'd be a session beer or be a beer that actually has a lot bigger a beer. I don't want to actually have to taste that, right? If I want to do that, I want to drink some bourbon, smoke a cigar, or whatever.
Sure.
That's a different scene. But if I want to just drink beer and enjoy beer, I don't really care what the AB is, as long as it tastes good and just keep going with it. So that's awesome that I can have these big beers like that and still enjoy them and not have to worry about the ethanol in them.
If you want to circle back to the beginning of the show, and I said I'm extremely lazy, and you said no, you're efficient.
Right, there you go.
Boom. I want to drink 3 beers and be done.
You're
I don't
right.
want to drink 12 beers. I want to drink 3 and be where I want to be and feel the way I want to feel and enjoy that. But be able to pace that out and enjoy it. So I've got a beer here that is consumable. It doesn't have the ethanol burn.
Right.
And I don't need to get all blown out and bloated from drinking 6 or 7 beers. And I get right in that sweet spot where I want to be efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't want to pee a lot. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I want to drink 2 or 3 beers and know that I've drank, some beers.
Yeah.
Not like you said, 6 or 7, be like, okay, now I feel it. But yeah, I'm also like freaking bloated and gassy now.
I can't eat. I can't sit down right. Like everything feels weird. Do I look fat?
These pants are too tight. Way too tight.
should have worn my drinking sweats.
Yeah, Jesus. There you go. New idea. Drinking sweats for your bar.
Yeah.
B.R.I. across the butt.
Plastic band.
Plastic band.
Solid idea.
Yeah, well,
I'm on it. Christmas 2017.
Excellent. Yes. Father's Day. Anybody else need some B.R.I. drinking pants?
We've got your stocking stuffer.
Yeah, right.
Unlock.
Love it.
Drinking pants / mini growler set.
We just FYI, we know you guys love those, and we know everybody that gets them loves them. I don't ever see that Father's Day 4-pack going away, and incidentally, it's a complete pain in the dick.
That's right.
Like 100%. The whole project is an absolute pain. But we did it that first year, and we're like, you know what? Everybody thinks this is so cool, and we genuinely do as well. Like we think it's a really cool idea. they're just a nightmare to fill, and it's just the whole thing's a nightmare. But it's like I don't ever see us getting away from that because we get such a great response on it. And I'm not talking sales response. I'm talking about the vibes, man, the love vibes.
Right.
We get so much of that from that. Like I'm an attention whore, man. I need it. I need it now.
Well, and that seems to be the next step, like with glassware and all these exclusive like anniversary growlers and all that stuff. People want that stuff. I mean, there's going to be an aftermarket for it at some point.
Oh yeah, man, the brownie points that a wife scores when she walks in with that Father's Day 4-pack, like home run.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw because you got one, right? And I was like, God damn it, my son's only 2. And so I was like, I can't be mad at him because he didn't get me one, but still, it's my wife's fault.
You're like, hey kid, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because
get a haircut, get a job.
My son's 25 years old, and he's always like, "What do you want?" It's like Father's Day 4-pack, man. And he's like, "Really?" He looks at me like I'm like freaking shortchanging him. I was like, "No, fucking get it, or I'm gonna be pissed."
It's only 4 beers, Dad. No, it gives all year.
That's what it says. Like, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys dig that.
Yeah, that one's cool. And especially when you're like, where do I go? Oh, I have this 4-pack. I'm going to go fill that. Plus, it's 4 beers. It's not a 64-ounce growler of one thing. You can get a variety.
Right. Personally, I hate big growlers because I'm not going to like if I'm at a place where I'm getting a growler fill, I've got a couple beers in me. That's fact, right? So I'm not going to go home and crush 4 more. I'm just not going to do that. So 32's nice. 32-ounce growler's nice. 16, money. You can drink it right from the bottle if you want. No one's gonna judge you.
Well, that's the thing is that like there's like I think 16 is a good number in general because there's times where I'm like we talked about like 12. You're like that was all right, but I just want a little bit more of that.
Pint of beer is what you should be drinking.
Yeah, man. Right, and then
you get
32
like the big crowlers.
It's
It's like I don't know if I can commit to 32 ounces right now.
it's a super big commitment to commit to that in one night.
What's great about the 4-pack is that even if you get them all the same beer or if you mix them up every time, you crack them one at a time.
Yeah.
It's
perfect.
You can't lose.
Yeah, you can't lose. It's win-win for everybody. Win-win.
You could drink it out of a straw if you wanted to. I'd use a bendy straw if you're going to do it, but
yeah. Can we get B.R.I. straws?
What makes you think we don't already have them?
Yeah.
No. So I don't know, man. Like I think that's a cool thing, and we'll keep doing that. The first year we did it was like even more of a nightmare because we gave everybody the option of what specialty beer they wanted in it, and it was either mango and chain or peach lolly. And then year 2, and now coming up in year 3, it's like we're picking all of the beers. This is what you get in that 4-pack, and we'll always make sure there's a specialty, and it'll probably always be peach lolly just because the timing works out. But that first year we're like, well, no, let everybody pick what they want in it, and then they can pick, the specialty one they want. And we're sitting there at the end of the day going, okay, so that was a street red, a war paint, and a lolly, and a mango, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, logistic wise, I can't imagine.
It was a train wreck. We just did. Hey, we were young. We didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Well, I feel bad when I bring the 4-pack in, and they're like, what do you want in them? It's like, well, I just say, fill it with whatever. I'll drink it all. Just give me 4 of what you like, and I'll drink it.
After the initial sale of them, it's all easy.
Right.
So don't ever feel bad about it, man. Just get what you want to get, But yeah, it's a cool promo. I'm glad we did it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So with your guys' focus on beer and food, do you guys do beer dinners here at all, or do you actually go out other places and work with chefs and restaurants and actually do that kind of stuff? Or?
I've never went outside of B.R.I. to do a beer dinner.
No.
A great idea, and I see other places doing it, and we're certainly open to it. So if you're a chef and
I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just you you there in the
don't
internet.
look at me in the eye and say I'm a chef.
You there in the internet
Okay,
land.
thank you.
You there on the interwebs. If there's somebody out there that wants to do a pairing dinner with us, we'd love to do that and kind of cross promote and bring 2 worlds together. That's some fun stuff.
Yeah.
It creates great opportunities for both companies and the customers. So we'd be down to do that. We do them here. Probably do a beer pairing dinner, like a full 4-course dinner, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year. Mostly we try to keep it small plate, small plate pairing, just easier for people to wrap their heads around, buy the tickets at a nice affordable price. They get to come out and share some things, experiment with a little bit of beer and some new food. It's just a little easier when you commit to a 4-course meal and you're talking like $60. Like you gotta really want to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little tougher that way when you start at $60, $75 for a meal. You're like,
Yeah,
it's not my anniversary.
We've
Sorry.
actually never
Can't do
done
it.
that. We've always kept it in the 50 range, but that also makes it tough for us to actually pull a profit on it.
Right.
So, but again, like back to what I was saying earlier, sometimes we do shit that doesn't make a profit, and we do it just because it's a cool thing to do. Sometimes you got to do that as a business, and there's a lot of people out there that don't get that. Like it's all profit driven. Sometimes you just got to have fun. You got to do something cool, and then when you're doing something cool, other people go, "Hey, they're doing something cool." And then everything starts to snowball from there. So like every once in a while, you just got to throw that out there and don't make money.
Come on, Chris. The Hoppy Craftsmen Craft Macaroni and Cheese Beer Pairing Dinner sounds amazing.
It's probably gonna happen. It'll probably be Shelton cheese. It'll be spirals, which is my favorite, and then some white cheese. I'm getting fucking fancy.
I'm in.
Done. See, I already sold one ticket.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Ed.
Then you get
Probably
the
two. I sold two because your wife's gonna go no matter what.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys. Well, I think we're kind of wrapping up. Unless Jeff, you got anything else you need to start? Ed, do you
No,
have
I'm
questions you need to ask Matt? Because
When does the Hiver come out?
Saison de Heaver.
Oh, see, I already screwed up two.
De Heaver.
I've heard both. Actually, I've heard both out of this place, so that's not my bad.
Well, we've got shot collars on all the bartenders, so anytime they mispronounce, we give them a little zap. We're not doing De Heaver this year. We're gonna skip it. We've done it the last couple of years, and we did it in the last couple of years at the end of our homebrewing run as well. And we just wanted to give it a little break, and I think more than anything, just to maybe build a little bit of want and hype on it. And next year, maybe it can be a bigger, better thing. Maybe next year we do a bottle condition release or something. You know what I mean? Like have some fun with it. But we'll be doing a Christmas beer this year, whereas De Heaver's always been our fall, winter seasonal. It's a really tough beer because anytime you put pumpkin in something, it's got to be gone by December 25th. Every single drop has to be gone, or it just doesn't sell.
Yeah.
And the way the market plays pumpkin beers is pumpkin beers come out in August now. Well, I think that's fucking ridiculous. I won't do it. Greg won't do it. It's absurd because that's still summer, man. So you got a really, really, really short window in which you can do pumpkin beers, do them the right way, and feel good about it, and still sell the entire batch. So we're gonna skip it this year. We're gonna do something different for Christmas season, and we'll probably bring it back next year, and hopefully we can do a nice little bottling run where you can drink a bottle and enjoy it, and then maybe kick one or two down in your cabinet and enjoy them a year from now.
Yeah, that's the tough when you get those spicier beers in Arizona in October, and it's still 94 today.
Right.
That's the high,
And they're all dark.
Yeah.
It's all dark, spicy beers, and so we're just gonna skip it this time. We've done with all of our variants, we've done probably 68 to 70 beers since we've been open, which isn't. I mean, there's other places that are younger and outpacing us. That's fine. But every once in a while, you gotta put something up on the shelf. You gotta look at it and make sure that everybody still appreciates each other. Just kind of set it aside a minute, make sure we're still all good, and then circle back to it. So we're gonna do that with De Heaver right now.
very cool.
It's worth the wait.
All right.
I love that beer.
It's
That's
a solid
probably my
beer.
favorite beer.
Yeah.
That's the first one I think I had when I first came to B.R.I.
Did you ever get your mouth around the 5 minutes of funk?
I did not get that one.
Okay, so that was De Heaver aged in a bourbon barrel with Brett, and without a doubt the most complex, crazy beer that we've put out of here. Probably, hard to pick favorite babies, but definitely that's in the top 3 for me. 5 minutes of funk. If we ever do that again, you hear that word.
Get on it.
Camp out.
So camp out.
It ain't wrong.
I'll say this. After he just said that they were going to make it this year, I instantly felt sadness in my heart that I didn't try it before. So now I'm like, God damn it, it's a missed opportunity. I feel that's the beer geek. That's the community of craft beer geeks. That's that kind of stuff. You're like, you're not making it anymore? So when it comes back.
Psych 101.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, keep them wanting.
There really is a component to that. You have to you have to have your cores and you have to do what you do really well, and then you have to create exclusivity in certain things. And like if you want to move beer and if you want hype, like you have to do that. I think that the two best players in the game in Arizona right now in that department are Rinhouse and Tombstone. No question about it. Both brands are completely on fire, and they without a doubt, they both make amazing beer. They also make a very little bit of that amazing beer, and people want it. And so, there's a lot to be learned by just paying attention.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, yeah, there's the thing of creating like that exclusiveness by just not brewing a lot versus actually doing something specific.
Right.
Like here, you can always get even the one-offs like the mango and chain. It's always on draft. You might not be able to get it in a growler, which is kind of seems to be your guys' limitation on that, whether you can get a growler or not. But that works. It's not like you're just putting out like 30 gallons of it and this is it. This is all we're making.
Right.
Good luck. You can still get it if you come down here.
Mango and Chain might not have been the best example for that because like we haven't made that in almost a year, and this one batch came in, but solid point in that, like, we try to focus on our core, our secondary core, and then our fun, the playful beers, what I call our turn burns, just fresh new. So we always try to have the ones that people love and have invested mind share into. Your wife loves Lolly. We've got that 480G customer. We want to make sure that core, like what built us, we want to make sure that's there. It's tough to do.
So, Ed, actually, before we go, do you actually want to tell people what you do actually in the beer community besides just being on our show and a stalker?
Yeah, besides stalking you guys and basically following you.
Yeah.
No, I mostly hang out on Instagram, take a lot of beer pictures because I drink a lot of beer, so it's an excuse. I also write a blog. You can find it at craftbeer.blog, and I enjoy Arizona beer. Being the one a rare born and raised, it's a local voice that you don't get a lot.
Right.
And where can someone find your blog and read your interesting stories of kidnap fiction?
Yeah, the day I got kidnapped by the Hoppy Craftsmen.
Didn't happen.
So you can find my link on my Instagram, and I'll spell it out because it's not really pronounceable. It's at ARRWOOOO. Yeah, that marketing, a lot of research went into that.
Yeah.
So that's where you'll find me, and you'll find my blog off of that.
Excellent. Matt, where can people find B.R.I on the line?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say, in case you guys don't know, Ed's hat choice is pretty goddamn amazing. You can't see it, but I can, and you look good, kid.
I like it.
Good. You look good.
It's like looking in a mirror.
You can find us all over the place. BRI.beer. Not .com, not .net, not .org. BRI.beer is the website. You can find us on Facebook at the Beer Research Institute, Twitter at BRI Brewpub, and on Instagram at the Beer Research Institute. It's a lot of letters to type in, but you can do it. I believe in you. I know you can do it.
So bookmarks, favorites. Pretty easy.
Autofill works well. It'll come up.
Yeah, one of those
they
times.
get BRI in there. It'll come up.
And then
Thanks to the
obviously, you can find us every day here at the pub and look around town, man. There's B.R.I. beers popping up in the East Valley, Arcadia area. Angel's Trumpet brings our product in quite a bit. So there's a good amount of our beer out there in the community. And after the first of the year, there's going to be a lot more.
Excellent. That's
Nice.
good news. Jeff, where can people find us?
They can find us on Instagram at Hoppy Craftsmen. They find us www.thehoppycraftsmanpodcast.com. Facebook, Hoppy Craftsmen. What am I missing?
Nope, that's pretty much everything.
Twitter.
All of them.
If you're into Twitter, Hoppy Craftsmen.
Yeah, we're on there too.
Hoppy Craftsmen, you can find us everywhere.
Yeah, just Google it. It's a weird thing with that.
Yeah, it'll come up. You'll
And
find us.
the raddest fucking people in the world. You should know this.
I should, because Nate messed up and actually said my name.
I know,
The
it's
last
great.
podcast I heard, and my wife was not too happy about that.
Yeah, I know.
So your Patreon supporters.
See what happens when I
one
take
is
a
my
day off?
wife.
Yeah, so the Patreon supporters is Sina Gomez, which is Ed's wife, and then so it's San Diego Beer Talk Radio, and then Mark Ballesteros. So if you want to be a patron and help support the show and help us keep doing this, though we'll keep doing it no matter what, go to patreon.com/hoppycraftsmen.
My wife did not get me on this podcast by being a Patreon supporter.
Or did she?
She might have. So, Matt, thank you for talking to us today and taking the time to, shoot the shit.
Yeah, it's literally my strongest asset, hands down.
Perfect. Well, we'll talk to you again for sure then.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Jeff.
I'm not Nate.
And I'm Matt.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.